Hello, and thank you for joining me for another episode of Taste of Magic. We're still talking about Planechase cards, and we're going to be talking about 5 more planes today, which all have to deal with Lorwyn and Shadowmoor. Lorwyn and Shadowmoor are a plane that is the same plane but switches back and forth every so often. The first plane I'm going to be talking about is Glen Elandra. Glen Elandra deals with switching control of creatures. It's also the area of Lorwyn and Shadowmoor where the fairies live. Fairies were a big part of the set, Bitter Blossom being one of the biggest cards to come out of Lorwyn. And this is where fairies were moved to blue as opposed to blue and black as opposed to the original ones that were green in Homelands. This card would be great if you were playing with Zedru the Great-Hearted. You can exchange control of your creatures, and then sometimes you can get your creatures back. The next playing card is Gold Meadow. Gold Meadow is the part of Lorwyn where the Kithkin live. Kithkin are small white creatures that resemble halflings or hobbits. The Kithkins in Magic actually go all the way back to Legends, where the first Kithkin was. This time around, they actually got some tribal Kithkin cards. And Gold Meadow is a card that gives you goat tokens. 0/1 goat tokens, which 0/1 goat tokens are mentioned on a few cards, such as Springjack Pasture. And there's another card that lets you steal goats. This was kind of a funny thing in Lorwyn that I don't know if it really had anything to do with anything, really. So Gold Meadow is just a nice plane to visit. Nothing really bad happens. People get 0/1 goats, and that's about it. The next plane card deals with another tribe, the Tree Folk. The Great Forest, which has an ability pretty much exactly the same as Doran the Siege Tower. This is the first time that Tree Folk are also getting a bunch of tribal cards, and there's quite a few Tree Folk that would really benefit from this power because their toughness is so big, and their power is not very big. The next card deals with another tribe, the Changelings. Changelings are all creature types at all times. The card is called Velis Vel. It is the place where the changelings live, and each creature gets +1/+1 for every other creature, just like the artifact Coat of Arms from Exodus. Velis Vel is, I guess, the place where changelings live. There's a couple cards that refer to it, and they are changeling instants. And the changelings come from the Mist form Ultimus from Legions, which had every creature type at the same time, and that was another tribal theme block. So that's all the planes for Lorwyn. There's only one plane for Shadowmoor, and that plane is called Raven's Run. Raven's Run is another region of Shadowmoor, and this card gives all creatures Wither. Wither was the ability that made them deal damage in the form of -1/-1 counters, and it ultimately led to Infect from Scars of Mirrodin block. The Chaos Symbol effect is just like Incremental Blight, which is really good in a multiplayer game, so you can target many creatures. So those are all the plane cards that are for Lorwyn and Shadowmoor. The way that Lorwyn and Shadowmoor work is they're basically two sides of the same coin. They're the same plane, but Lorwyn never has night, and it's always kind of springtime, and Shadowmoor is the nighttime version of the plane. The planes were kind of created when the Queen of the Fairies, Oona, decided to lengthen the days and lengthen the nights, which ultimately led to the plane splitting into these two separate facets. She was defeated after The events of Time Spiral block ended up making the plane switch over earlier than she expected, and she was defeated after the events of Lorwyn Shadowmoor block. So that is all I have to say about Lorwyn today and Shadowmoor. Only one of these cards is from the new Planechase set, Planechase 2012, which is Glen Elandra. And next time we will be talking about Dominaria with Time Spiral block.